Tong Ling Ming. Healing lungs and large intestine. Implementation today. So in the last web class, number 4 of the Healing Organ series, I have talked about implementation. And you will be able to use that class for each of the organs, because I've talked about all of the organs in a random way. And then we've started to look at what is especially good for lungs and large intestines. So remember number 4. You might rewatch number 4, the first part of number 4, always before you go and do an implementation class for an organ. Those are the basics of how to work with information and how to use information when we implement Qi for healing organs. So we've left off finishing segment 1. And I would just like to, that's where we're gonna keep going with segment 2 of Ren Yuan. But first we're gonna just look at squats. So how are squats especially good for lungs and large intestines? Remember that the lungs are responsible for overall qi distribution. It's governing all the qi channels. So squats are a marvelous way of healing your lungs and your large intestines. It's working on all the body systems, because it works on the spine a lot and it works on the major joints like ankles, knees and hips, as well as actually, the shoulders are involved as well, because you are giving them the slight rotation before you go down, and you're opening up between the shoulder blades when you squat down. So remember, the synovial fluids in the joints are part of body fluids, and lungs also balance the water metabolism and therefore all the body fluids. If you look at the meridians, you might come to a conclusion that the external meridian is upwards the arm. But have you seen how it goes inwards, up into the throat, and making this deep connection inwards with the lungs, from the throat into stomach, down around the small intestine and large intestine beginnings, and then comes back up to the center point, actually, into, the area of middle dantian. So, as you go up and down, you're using, you're activating the qi in the whole area here, like the upwards and the downwards movement, right? Also, the large intestine meridian is going from the front of your shin, internally, also from the mid of your shin, I should say, upwards, all the way to your face even. It's connecting with, at that way it's connecting and goes external, connects with the external channel. And so it goes right through both sides of the so we have the ascending large intestine. Sorry, over here, of course, we have the ascending large intestine, we have the transverse large intestine, and we have the descending large intestine. And the large intestine channel goes right through these, the actual physical organ, and in a how do you call it? In a vertical line. So what we're doing in squats, we're standing in a vertical line, because our legs are closed, our feet are closed, our legs are closed in the best possible way. And if not, you're very aware that your feet are parallel in the squats, no matter in which position you are doing the squats. So all the joints are aligned. The ankle is here, and so the knee is in alignment right on top of it, and the hip is in alignment right on top of that again. So your joints are straight, and so the meridian is, of course, from a physical perspective, very straight and not twisted or any way. And so we're going up and down. And so this is very beneficial for the large intestine. So that's why squats are very beneficial for your digestive system as well. This is also one reason why the squats are so very beneficial for when you have reactions, because the large intestine is about, and the lungs partially release, but large intestine is really about release and letting go. So if you have a pattern in an unhealthy emotion, or any unhealthy consciousness pattern on the consciousness level, maybe better said, that's why squats help you a lot to calm yourself down again, because it does activate those two organs. Lungs are responsible for the overall qi distribution in you. And so if you have reactions, you get all the qi everywhere activated and balanced. And this is why you get into a calm state, because it helps you to let go on some qi levels, and because the task is so simple of thinking Dantian when you go down, and thinking Bai Hui or the universe when you stand up, and it's just this down and up and down and up, and you feel qi, streaming into Dantian quite strongly, and then you're being lifted. So the uplift, the actual quality of uplifting is very easily felt in the squats, and so you're being uplifted. And this is what we want. We want to be in an uplifted state. And so we can remember, because the qi makes you feel this, how you are lifted, like from balloons. And so you remember the state of being uplifted. And so it's easier for us to say, okay, release the stress, release the anger, release whatever it is. Come back to calmness. Be uplifted. So the squats are extremely beneficial for your lungs and your large intestines, and therefore for all of the organs. Okay? One more really important aspect of lung qi is the movement it's governing is descending and dispersing. So, you want to have sick qi dispersed. This is very well nourished and, benefited through squats. So if you want to heal your lungs, do squats. If you want to heal your large intestines, do squats. If you want to heal any of the Shen aspects, of lungs and large intestines, you can use squats only to do that. They are a supplementary exercise in Yuan Gong. They're very powerful. And you can do them everywhere. Literally. On the toilet. I mean, in the room of the toilet. At the airport. You don't need a lot of space. So if you're not brave enough to practice out in the open yet, in the external, between other people, when you have a reaction, go to the toilet wherever you are, in the office, at your working place, or at the airport, or, in the airplane. Well, that toilet might be too small, but in the airplane you can just do it in the aisle. Go and do some squats. They will balance your lung qi, they will balance your large intestine qi. I've heard a lot of stories of people who have had digestive problems for years and years and years and years, and they didn't really get a really regular practice of other methods in. So squats, took care of their digestive problems. 2-3 years of squats and you probably are pretty healthy. Okay. Lungs and large intestine perspective. Further continuing in Ren Yuan, segment 2. I've talked about Hershey Hands already. So every time you stand in Hershey Hands, that's a lot of times in Ren Yuan, right? Remember that. Just to give a little more highlight to Hershey Hands. So what happens in segment 2 is we're working very directly on lungs and large intestine, right? Because we are just opening and stretching all of those where actually the external channel is, the main channel. The thumbs, where the lung meridian goes into from the inside. So when you curl your thumbs in, that's actually you're really activating, that part of the large lung meridian. And then the next thing you curl down is your index finger, which has both meridians, an internal branch of the lung, and the large intestine goes actually right there on the outside, right? Remember? You can always go back to the others and look at the meridians, to the other class, number 3, I guess that is, when we looked at large intestine meridians. Yeah? And then you keep, you could see this as an embrace of lung and large intestine, if you keep going with the fingers. And then, of course, we have the lung finger, right? In how we use it from the perspective of totality within hands, how we use the lung finger for in Shayuan, out of the 5 element perspective, or the totality perspective. So of course, you are actually having 3 fingers. And it really, so just doing these movements is really you're really gonna heal your lungs and your large intestine, your organs. So don't fly over this exercise. It is extremely important, Tension and then release and then bring it in. And then tension, stretch it out and bring it in. Tension, stretch it out and bring it in. There is a tension. Bring tension like you would push inside your finger. You're pushing towards the front tip, and that's when you release the tension and you bring it in. Yeah? Tension and bringing it in. And all the time we have that with stretched arms, nicely lifted from Bai Hui, so the throat meridian part of the lung meridian is really a nice aspect here. And the large intestine meridian who goes here through the face, just standing is actually very healthy for lungs and large intestine in an lifted from Bai Hui, Hui Yin lifted kind of practice stance. So, but we stand like this, right? With our entire, remember, so the lung meridian is going outside here, and the the lung meridian is going inside up here. Yeah, from here it turns internal under the collarbone. So this is very beneficial for your lung qi. Can you see? Because you're activating exactly when the shoulders are like this. Not so much, right? But feel into that. Go to the place where the lung qi meridian goes internal, which is more to the outside of the collarbone. Underneath the collarbone, there's 2 points. You can put your fingers up like this, And then when your shoulders are relaxed and your arms are up, feel into what your collarbones do there. They have to actually, they're activating the lung qi, and from here it goes inwards into the internal branch. To here, and then to here. Yeah? So just standing like this actually also gives you, very good healing of lungs and large intestine, and then you go down and upwards. That's very good. I mean, this is directly working really on those aspects, because we, look at the points of lung and large intestine meridians. They are around the wrist as well, and so very beneficial. Don't take this as not important. You can do a lot of those. Just standing like this is extremely good, and you have the tension when you press upwards the fists, and then you release, and then you tense again. So only this, and then you release again, and then you go into tension again. You're pushing your wrists upwards, you're pushing the qi forwards, upwards, and then you release the tension, and then you go into tension again, and you're pushing your wrists down. Can you see that from the sides? And then you release the tension again, and you push up. So, what is one Shen aspect of the lungs? Release and letting go. Tension, release and letting go. So you actually strengthen that quality in your life through this simple open the hands and palms movement. Yeah, and the rotating. The rotation actually brings qi circulating in your lung channel, in your large intestine channel, or like this. It actually makes the qi move like this inside. And what do you think this qi movement is doing? Have you ever seen a drill? A drill that you hang a picture up with, or you build a house with, they're drilling, right? So when you do this and then you do this, it's not only moving your overall qi inside your arm like this, it actually also starts moving the qi inside the lung and large intestine like this. So the natural movement of spiraling, because that's how qi moves anyway, but it's being enhanced, it's being increased. Remember, always a quality of something, like here we are circulating, and it will increase that quality within the qi as well. Yeah, that's what totality means. All the aspects and all the different qualities are connected within each other, relating to each other. And so you can, when you know how to use information, when you are aware of things like that, of course the information is stronger. This is the whole reason for for me to do this healing organ series to help you raise awareness about things so you can strengthen understanding, and that's the understanding. The heightened understanding is strengthening the information, so that sometimes I wonder, people just stand there, go bloop, 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 bloop. Especially when you work with CDs, you can just do this exercise for a while longer than the others while you go through the whole Renyan. I always recommend to do the whole Renyan in one, but you can pick out one aspect and do it for longer, And so the spiraling, the opening, it's going to open your lung and large intestine movement, chi movement in the channel. And you want this to happen, of course, because you want the chi move to where it needs to nourish or where it needs to carry something away as well. So the first section of the second segment is extremely healing for lungs and large intestine. Actually, the whole segment 2 is very directly working on lung chi and large intestine. Yeah? And you always have to be aware of the connection of Qing, Qi and Shen, and their aspects. So when you're doing this, you're having a very direct work on the lung and large intestine organ chi. But of course, because you're standing in a very good position while you're doing this, and you're in a very good state, and when you now have so much information ready to be used, it's just inside of you, this information. And if you are in this beautiful state, all of those aspects are being trained as well. Always be aware of the totality of the total reality when you practice Renyuan, because you might think, and you stand there, you're doing something for your hands and fingers. Now you're doing something especially for your lungs and large intestine. The elbow joint is about large intestine ruling, and the shoulder's a lot about lungs. And it's just really right now, as you are practicing this little thing, you are really strengthening the quality of exchange, transportation, release, letting go, the opposite of suffocating, the opposite of self-poisoning. So what would be suffocating? Suffocating would be nourishing yourself, expanding, receiving beautiful nourishment. The opposite of self-poisoning would be, again, nourishment. So you're practicing self-love and self-respect in doing this. Okay, so those exercises are way more than simple exercises on the physical level. The Shen aspect is always connected into those areas. That's one of the main gifts we get from Yanse. Through being taught awareness about totality. So then you're finished with the first section. What you're doing then? You start turning and you start forming the two hands. And look at that. Lung meridian, large intestine meridian, and lung meridian. Wow! So simply sitting there like this in this position while you do, maybe pushing the mountains even with this position. When you watch TV, you know, sitting like this, or at least just sitting like this with flexed hands. You can sit like this and basically help your lung qi and your large intestine qi. You can sit like this on the toilet while you're waiting for the poop to come out. You can sit like this doing, you know, television sessions. Give yourself a healing session. When you have to wait somewhere, you could do that. You know, better is stretched because then you also involve the whole. And what you're doing here, you're bringing, when you make the archery hand, you know, so one is, those are both archery hands. So what are you doing? And can you see how you, so that's why you shouldn't, you know, that's why you stay straight. That's why your elbow shouldn't be hanging down or shouldn't be hanging up. You want to have all in alignment, right? And then, whoopsie, sorry, I forgot that the wall is there. And so, and can you see, you also keep, you know, you turn the head in the same time. So you, again, you activate the whole lung internal branch. So with the second archery hand is where I somehow digressed into the straightness of your arms when you do the archery. Is, can you see how close together? Maybe I should bring my hand a bit closer. Can you see, you bring them close together. The thumb and the tip of the index finger. So you bring large intestine and lung, qi, meridian very close together. You form a circle, a oneness. Yeah? So qi can be activated in here from lung and large intestine. Isn't it amazing how much we can think about when we think in totality? And when you have heard all of this information once, better is more often and to really know it by heart. But whatever you have learned once, your consciousness can then use. Yeah? So this is why we go through the information so detailed. So we're activating all sorts of meridians of lung and large intestine, all sorts of aspects within the meridians of lung and large intestines. And then so imagine I'm now in the back, okay, because obviously there's the wall I can't turn. So here you're in the back, and now you open, and actually this is all one movement, so you don't go to here, wait, and then you open, pull. No, you go and you go turn, and you open, and you really open your chest. You know, you open your chest out. The whole area here, the whole lung qi, also as well the anatomical lung tissues, they're all being stretched. Everything is expanding and opening. Okay, and of course, this qi in there is being stretched to its maximum too. Remember when I was teaching Yu Ren Yuan online, how the knots in the qi are being, that's the main thing that stretching is good for actually. You know, so why is stretching good? A lot of sports people might not even know why they stretch. Yes, some people said it's good for you, but why is it good? Because the qi is being ordered. The knots in the qi are being dissolved and stretched out. And so the qi can flow well again in the channels. Yeah? And this is what happens in maximum expansion. Yeah? From here to here, everywhere, your collarbones are opening up, also, yeah, where the lung qi meridian is coming in, And those two internal branches of the lung chi meridian are being opened and stretched out, so it's very good for lungs. And whatever is good for lungs is very good for large intestine. Of course, because of the turning movement and the maximum stretch here, it's very good for the large intestine meridian as well. Yeah, because it actually you can actually feel it. Chi is moving more intense here when you go into this, and I'm not even halfway there yet because I'm sitting, obviously. Okay? So you can feel through the turn of the head, when it's lifted from Bai Hui, this aspect of the large intestine is actually being stretched. The chi in there starts flowing more intense because, through stretching also some pressure is being built up, but the pressure is healthy this time. It's just, it makes the chi needing to work harder. And it strengthens that aspect because you're in a good state. Pressure in a negative state isn't very healthy. Pressure in a very good state within the chi aspect, So because of the stretch, the chi has longer to go and it's being made to flow through. Yeah, can you just feel into this sensation and the quality of stretching? Yeah, still being relaxed at the same time, but it's so nice to stretch. Yeah, and the chi is just going, wow. Sorry, I'm getting lost here in the beautiful feeling of having the chi flowing really so much more intense. Okay. So we come out of it like this, come over here, and then you start turning when both hands are there. You go into a stretch here actually, stretch your arms completely and then you twist while you're stretching. So give yourself a good stretch. You're not just going, fingers half, blah, blah, and, it's like good stretched and just feel the chi flowing towards and into the fingertips and all is opening, and then you get to turn it and the chi has to work differently again, and just, wow, it's so nice. It's so nice. Yeah? Not with shoulders relaxed, and stretch, and then you go into the other one. And here again, you're stretching out lungs and large intestine areas a lot, right? When you raise the head and arch the back. And again, so this is the upper part when you raise the head. Obviously, you activate a lot of lung and large intestine chi, right? Because, large intestine is everywhere here and here, yeah? And that way. So lung chi obviously is in the front, and this whole area, and then you open the chest again. But what you also do is, what do? You bring your pelvis back and you bring your Wei Lu up. And what happens, you think, with those two, with the two internal branches of the large intestine meridian, when you open the pelvis, right? So you raise and you stretch. Can you feel the chi in there going when you do that? So the whole segment 2 is a lot about lungs and large intestines. And then comes this release. Yeah. And feeling like, this position, the character in Chinese means big. When you stand like this, so written, the Chinese character just means big. And it represents, Yansa told us, it represents that the consciousness is the biggest, a human consciousness is, as big as the universe. And can you imagine how healing that is for your lungs, who are responsible for the overall chi distribution in your body and chi field, for transportation, for exchange. So how helpful it can be in exchanging your thinking of being, I'm only this little tiny me, one human, into I am unified with the universe and I am everything, you just, I am part, not everything, I am part of everything, I can influence everything and I can influence all the influences of everything within me in a positive way. My consciousness is vast and big, and lung chi is simply healthy. Okay. So then you lift up, and obviously this is very, very beneficial for lung and large intestine chi. Yes, the stretch when you stand. So you're not just going, really allow yourself to be lifted from the chi and stretch upwards and downwards into the ground, into the universe below, stretch upwards into the universe above. And I mean, especially these areas, where the lung chi meridian goes through here and the large intestine chi meridian goes through here. So this is extremely, extremely beneficial for lung and large intestine chi. When you just stand and stretch upwards, with your hands folded up in Hershey, upwards. And then you're coming down, and then you feel the chi just wow, and the chi in this whole area feels so awesome, and also in this area actually. Yeah, and you're coming back to Hershey Hands. So although it's said until now we've been working indirectly on lung and large chi, the second segment is, doing a lot because we work so much on the channels. So indirectly we work a lot on lung and large intestine chi because the channels are being worked so well and made healthy. The health of the channels is being made healthy. So that brings us to working directly on the organ chi, which is segment 3, the auspicious dragon. Hershey Hands, we don't need to talk about that anymore. So now you're increasing even the effect of Hershey Hands. Have you ever worked with cloth that is like a jersey cotton cloth? When you stretch it on two corners, what happens with the whole cloth? The whole cloth is being diagonal stretched, right? You can see ripples and stretch everywhere. This is what happens with your lung and large intestine chi, or with actually all of the chi of your organs as one pack. You bring your hips over to this side and you press this over here. So the hands go to the other side. So you are really, doing a lot for all of your organ chi, because all of the organ chi needs to mix with each other and then is being, under pressure, this healthy pressure I've talked about, being mixed into each other. Right? That's what happens. And of course, so integration is the big thing here of pushing the hands to the side. The chi is being integrated into each other. So all the different types of organ chis, it's being integrated through the stretch. Do you see what I mean with a cotton jersey cloth being torn, being pulled into two directions only, but all of this in the side, in between, is stretching as well, and how it pulls together when you stretch, and that's what happens with your chi. It just gets one and unified. Yeah. And then after the pushing the hands, we go into the Swirling Dragon. And so you actually, I mean, just see now when you know where the meridians are, what's happening, they're opening. And actually what happens inside again is that, chi starts to move like this in this whole area. And it's so important. Can you remember the SHANG and the Ke cycle? SHANG and Ke, the nourishing and the controlling cycle, how all the organs control and nourish each other, and how they're all connected. And when you mix this whole chi inside, and the whole chi starts moving and becoming one and being kneaded like dough, it's just really, really beneficial. So I hope you can see through the movements of my hands what the chi is, what's happening inside of there. And so it's all being integrated, made one, merged with each other. And what happens when things merge? They are closer related. They can communicate again, they can function together again, they become one. So they can balance within each other. So very beneficial for lung and large intestine. As well, since the lungs are up here and the large intestine is down there. So can you see also that's an aspect. The descending chi is being nurtured, lung chi. Then, or an aspect of lung chi, and this lung chi and large intestine are being really well mixed up. As well, because you also go lower, 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 and rise, 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 up. That increases the delivery from the channels towards the organs. And you keep kneading the dough inside of there while you do this. Yeah? And then, of course, here we go. We don't need to, I think I've talked about this in all aspects. So, you're not going just here and you're holding like this. You're stretching and you're twisting. So, and this goes to the side as well. So, here really lung and large intestine chi again are very, very stimulated and very, very, very much healed in the dragon offering pearls. And then again, it's all a bit sideways, and then from here you get centered again and centered. And again, stretching and, really coming into this fabulous unification of all the chi. So then you step outside. And through the stepping outside, alone through the wide standing, it's very healthy for large intestine. So this, our wide standing, the wide stance is very beneficial for large intestine. Because obviously there's a lot of being activated here, right, on those planes and back. And then you bring in, like this, in this segment 4, and here can you see what happens with your shoulders? And now we have the opposite of what we've done before. We open to the back, and here we open, I don't know if you can see that. So you really bring out the upper back, and you bring the back of the lungs to open the other direction. So, you curl your chin in, you curl Bailu, Bailu. You curl Wailu up, and you curl Baihui down, which makes Bailu. And but the real essence is what you're doing to your large and long intestine chi here as well. There's other meridians, of course, here. We'll go through them step by step, but can you just feel into it? And the major aspect here is to actually curl the part between the shoulder blades. Okay? And that's exactly where the large intestine meridian goes up here. And so you're stretching this area here. And that is beneficial. And of course, that's beneficial for large intestine, extremely. And then you get to expand your lungs outwards. You know, like as if you would have an airbag at the back. And this, of course, is extremely good for your lungs because they can expand outwards, upwards, become big into the back. So they have been expanded in all directions. The space for the lungs can become more area, airy, more fluffy, more spacious. That's the word I'm searching. More spacious. Yeah? The whole area here, so the lungs can have their space and work. And from here, you are working again. Can you see? That all is working on your lung chi and your large intestine chi. All of that. It's working on the other meridians as well. As I said, we'll work through those. But be aware that when you do this, you're actually healing your lungs and your large intestines. Through all the twisting and turning and that's happening in your shoulders and in this area and in the shoulder blade area and your elbows and your wrists and all of it. Yeah? Because most people think, now we're coming to that area where we train our back. And that's not so. It's much more. Much, much more. It's extremely healing for lungs and large intestine in this segment. Yeah? So we ended up here, and now comes what? Big stretch forward, and you're pushing your wrists out, and you're opening here. So this is again large intestine. Lung, opening out. Large intestine, you bring forward. If I can't go more forward because then I'm going to fall off the chair. Yeah? And then you relax and you release. And that's, again, nice for the back areas. And, having your arms relax like this and having the shoulder come really round. I mean, you're not just letting your arms hang down. You're holding them a little bit like this, which creates again this concaveness between your shoulder blades. Yeah? And then you press again, stretching all the meridian here, wrist and the elbows, everything, not just your back. Yeah? And the lung intestine, of course, is being stretched to the maximum as well. From the bottom, the beginning of the internal branch, all the way to the end of the external branch, and the large intestine that goes all the way to here. Yeah, as well as Dutch way is being worked on. So extremely beneficial for lung and large intestine. And then comes the elephant. Curling crane head and curling the back. The Yongdong downwards. And here you bring a softness into, and you can actually feel the chi. It's coming up, and then it goes out, and it comes in waves up through the softness, and it flows freely now through there. And the crane head, of course, is very good for lung and especially large intestine. I'm exaggerating a little bit, yes? And then you curl upwards, 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 vertebrae by vertebrae. But what you also do is your arms are hanging, holding this position. And so first you activate lung and large intestine, and then you draw chi through the large intestine, up, up, and you're merging it with the lungs, and then you go into pushing. And all the time you activate lung and large intestine chi here everywhere, and for the push and the stretch of the elbows and the stretch of your shoulders, because you're pushing upwards, right? You're pushing upwards, and all lung and large intestine is so open. Then you do Yongdong, which is just to, then the chi can flow upwards so beautifully. Yeah, and everything is being nicely just calm down and settle down. And you have another stretch, very good for large lung intestines and lung and large intestines. Anyway, lung intestines is good too. And you come to Hershey Hands. And then we go into segment 5, reaching for the moon. So you step, and then you stretch. So you should feel the stretch into both directions. So now again you have another position which you stretch the large intestine meridian all the way from the mid, because you're standing like this with your foot. So you're stretching the whole. Plus you're stretching lung meridian and large intestine, the external ones, the main channel, and the internal branches all the way through. So sometimes I wonder if the whole Renyuan is only for lungs and large intestines. Yeah, and in this direction as well. And then you come into holding the moon, when you fetch the moon, excuse me, so you're rounding out the upper back a lot, you're rounding out the shoulders, and you're in Hershey Hands, and you even increase because your Hershey Hands look inwards. So now you're increasing on that stretch of lung and large intestine chi. Yeah? And you're expanding your lungs to the back again. How often do you give your lungs space in the back? What do you do when you have to sit a lot in your job? Where do you get, when you work on computers, where do you get tightness? Here, here, and here maybe. Yeah? This area, but especially back here. So what you're doing then, most people do that. Lungs are responsible for the energy distribution in the whole body. And sitting on chairs is not very beneficial for our chi whatsoever. Unless you sit at least with your feet straight, on shoulder width. Now you know why, mainly, large intestine and lung meridian. Now you know why out of that perspective of lung and large intestine. The other meridians are just as important, liver and spleen, and we're looking at that in the future sessions, web classes. So again, we get to lift and drop, lift and drop, lift and drop, which is always a lifting, and the dropping is very good because the chi goes whoop up. Yeah? So it's all being unified, and unification is always good for lungs and large intestine with the other organs. As well, through the lifting, of course, there's so much focus on you staying balanced, and there's a lot of focus in, once, then twice, and then 1, 2, 3. So you're very focused in your consciousness, and you activate a lot of muscles, not muscles, as well muscles actually. So you activate a lot of physical chi of large intestine through the shins, the internal branches being worked through this lift, lift, lift. And because there's so much awareness. Yeah? So everything that's happening in your lower leg, which is large intestine, because that's where the large intestine internal branch is beginning or ending. And then we get to the tapping. So we tap up, and can you see? So I see a lot of people, they tap here nicely, and then they start going here. This area is really important, and you don't go out, you don't go up here. Where is, you go inside, down, at the inside area of the arm, and you come up at the outside. Yeah? So here is the lung meridian going to here. So when you tap from from here across, you're actually crossing. And that's why you shouldn't have your hand somewhere here. That's why you should have your hand here in the center of your body. Feel here where the lung chi is going internal, under the collarbone. Feel the difference. There is no pressure whatsoever, and here you put pressure on. The lung chi meridian, actually the chi in there is being more stimulated. So, and when you tap over here, take a lot of focus. You are tapping your lung chi. Hold on. And you come up, tapping. Lung chi goes out here, no? To here. So, and the large intestine. Oh, now hold on. No, sorry. The lung chi goes internal up here. I was just wondering, how do I get from the outside to the inside? Yeah? And the large intestine goes out here. So when you go down, you basically directly, you cross through the lung meridian, and then you tap other meridians, and then you come here and you tap the lung meridian, and you go all the way through. Yeah. Back up here, large intestine, you actually directly come to the large intestine meridian here. Tap upwards, then you tap here and come down. Yeah, so tapping. And then when we go down, basically you come here, you're tapping the groin. That's again large intestine, internal meridian, and here you always get to lung and large intestine. Okay. I can't believe another hour is gone already. I'm not getting to where I want to get to, which is doing a little bit of supplementary exercises to implement all the lung and large intestine information. Okay. We have another one next week, looks like it. After segment 5, when we finished with tapping, we get to the ending, drawing chi back in circles. So the actual movement is good for lungs and large intestine, because the physical aspect of chi is being, activated, and then of course the opening and the unification with the universe again is very beneficial for lungs and large intestine, and then nourishing dantian chi is of course very good and beneficial for lung and large intestine chi. And so the second one just as well, directly nourishing middle dantian chi and drawing chi back after immediate being in the universe and coming back. Very beneficial. And then out and up. Yeah. So we constantly are activating those two meridians. And then we form a hand form. And the thumb is directly involved. Yeah, so that's large and that's lung. And there is quite a bit of an extreme thing for the wrist here, so that's lung and large intestine. But by this time we don't really think, lung and large intestine, but it's good to hear it so you become aware of whenever you are actually healing your lung and large intestine in Ren Yuan. Practically all the time. Yeah? And then you do the sounds where you activate upper, middle and lower dantian, and you open the central channel. At least, you make an attempt in opening it, and you feel the vibration of the dantians. You also make a sound at the same time, and making sounds, the lung chi channel is governing the voice. So very beneficial for lung qi. So teaching is very beneficial for lung qi if you know how to speak from any of the dantians, because you activate your voice a lot in a good state. So teach. Teach Yuan Gong, teach Ren Shui, to friends, to family, to the public, whoever you get. Hong. So you circulate qi, and that's where unification happens a lot. And the position itself is actually very good for lung and large qi again. Can you see? Can you just feel now that you know where the meridians are of lung and large intestine? How they open out? While you circulate, you activate. It always has to flow in all of these areas. And here you even open up the back of your lungs again while you do this, Okay? Then you come around, Dai Mai, the belt vessel, and you bring all the qi back. And we have talked about nourishing qi and how important that is for lung and large intestine. Good. Then we come to Sha Yuan. Well, Sha Yuan works on organ qi and pure organ qi. So here we get to the highest quality of lung qi. And always when we work on lung qi, we are working on large intestine qi as well. That becomes now clear through the knowledge of where the lung and the large intestine channels are. But here we activate, very strongly. Obviously, let's have a look at the not so obvious parts. Again, go back to last web class for the information about what the preparation is doing for your lung and large intestine qi, the relaxation and the building of a qi field. And then you do the unification, where you gently rise and fall. You lift qi up and you pull qi down, and you're unifying the whole, the whole universe, but at the same time your physical qi is being brought down. So lung qi is responsive for descending qi. And descending the qi is important, for example, in bringing the food qi down and keeping it down. Often when we have lung problems, we have problems keeping food down. It isn't got anything to do with what you eat or how you eat. Well, that may be how you eat, or your stomach or your esophagus. No, it has to do with your lungs. So heal your lungs, and you can probably keep food down, because the descending qi is being strengthened. How do you heal your lungs? With having the right information and then implementing it with tools that are following the totality and Tao. This up and downward movements in the opening is very good, because it's very gentle, and in you're in a very good state. And so far I haven't met anybody who doesn't like the opening of Sha Yuan. Again, here's the uplifting is very much being emphasized, maybe even more than in the squats, because your hands where the lung and the large intestine qi channels are going into are, actually being more activated. So this qi movement you feel in your hands when you do the opening is very beneficial for lung and large intestines healing. And then the up and down movement again, of course, activates the large intestine channel. So, what's next? Unification with the universe and drawing qi to middle dantian, as well as you connecting the lung finger with the heart finger. This is number one, very important. Why? Lungs and heart are very close beside each other, and the qi needs to be really well stimulated and exchanging and working together. And the meridians here, so when you go into prenatal Hershey Hands, maybe that's easier. Why is that not easy? It should be the same easy, shouldn't it? Oh no, well, yeah, it's turning more outwards. So, can you see my thumbs? Make sure they are nice in a good position. They shouldn't stand out like this, or they should be unified, relaxed, or not crinkled up. So, simply only holding prenatal Hershey hands is a very good position for lungs and large intestines qi. Yeah? And then you're forming natal, also Hershey hands. Postnatal I wanted to say, but just Hershey hands. And here you bring the thumbs in and you make it all one. So only this movement actually also works on the meridians and the qi of lung and large intestine. We don't have lots of focus on that, but of course that's what's happening in a way. Yeah? So, because, we need to activate all three aspects of the organ qi, the qing aspect, the physical aspect, the qi aspect, and the Shen aspect. That's why we have the movements of some things together, and it activates the qi channels, which have to do a lot with physical qi. Yeah? And then comes the whole mouth qigong. So, mouth qigong obviously very healthy for digestion, for your saliva. And here is the interesting part, why it's so good for lung qi. Mouth qigong, good for lung qi? Yes. Because you are, through the saliva, increasing the health of your body fluids. And lung qi is governing body fluids. All of them. So, via the lung qi, you're healing your joints when you do mouth qigong. Via the lung qi, you're healing your hormonal basis, because, hormones are caught in qi. Via the lung qi, you're healing your blood, because you're working with fluids. Hormones are kept within secretions, so it's physical fluids. Can you see how you can expand on concepts when you know more about, when you have more information about lungs and large intestine, but on organs and all their aspects? So, if you would have never known that your lungs are taking care of your water metabolism and your fluids all together, you might have never known that while you do mouth qigong. you heal your lungs. Obviously good for the large intestine. That's a bit more obvious now that you have seen the meridian and you know what do we do with our tongue. Right? We activate, we're pushing qi under our lips around. And where does the large intestine meridian go? To here. Yeah? The lung meridian goes here as well, right? To here. Go ahead, put your finger there and then move your tongue. When you push in a little bit, you actually feel the tongue goes all the way back here. So there's where a beginning of some, of the internal branch of the lungs goes up there. So through the lung qi movement, I meant to say through the tongue qi movement. Oh, here you go, tongue and lung, almost the same sound. They must be beneficial for each other. Now I'm being plain silly. Okay, tongue and lung. Very beneficial for each other, obviously. Then you are streaming, you are gathering saliva and you wash your whole mouth through, which is, of course, you can put a lot of information while you wash your whole mouth into it. You can think very specific thoughts and put in healing information. So that nourishes the fluid, good for lung qi, and of course also for large intestine. And then you swallow it, and you swallow it right down through those channels. And you descend very consciously fluids down to lower dantian. And the movement of that is extremely important because that's what lung qi is doing. It's responsible for transforming the food qi into true qi, not just the air qi. Yeah? So pure qi, the air qi, and food qi is being both transformed by the lungs or the lung qi, and it's this downward movement that we need in our body. On the physical, we need food to go down. Not just into the stomach, further. It needs to go down through the whole small intestines, and then through the whole large intestines, and then it needs to go out as well. So down, 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 and out. So then we form, after mouth qigong is done, then we form Hershey Hands, which we talked about it already. And then, obviously, what happens is we go on to the segments. But this is the liver segment, right? But can you see now how it might also be beneficial for lung and large intestine qi? Right? You're turning, you're twisting. Of course, focus is on the green color and on the organ, lung, liver, the area, the space, where the qi vibrates in both sides. Maybe now you're also, okay, let's see, that's liver. So, obviously, at some stage you get to the lung qi segment. Hand form, opening, and ha. So here, can you see? Now you can recognize this opening of your lungs to the back, opening to the front, and opening to the back. Yeah, opening to the front. That's why you should open up here, not just do this. It's opening, and it's opening, while you do the sound and the white color and all of that. And then we get to the other aspects, which is, so lung qi, then you go on, and obviously you mix up with the kidney qi, and then you mix it up. That is very interesting from one very important aspect, because in the SHANG circle, the nourishing circle within the 5 elements, lung qi is nourishing kidney qi. So if you have got healthy lung qi, it can sustain and nourish in a sustainable way your kidney qi. And that's why we circulate from here to there as well. We're trying to get this circulating going between lung qi and kidney qi. Yeah. So lung qi and kidney qi is right the next one in the nourishing line. So we might be working on kidney qi, but actually we're working on the connection between lung and kidney qi, which is very beneficial for lung and large intestines. Yeah? The whole movement actually also up and down throughout the whole Sha Yuan is very good for large intestine qi. Okay, what comes next? So then we have the San Shao, which is now clear, I think. Yeah, we're mixing. This was taught in Sha Yuan, why this is good for all of the organs. It's basically like in Ren Yuan, In Ren Yuan we mix it like this, in Sha Yuan we mix it like this. Forward, round, through the sound of San Chao, we mix the qi, all of the qi, together to merge, to integrate it, to make it one, to make it communicate with each other. Thank God I'm getting all this beautiful feedback from all over the world from you guys, because I'm guessing by now I would probably start feeling a little bit funny about using so much time for the organs. I really thought today we could just go into the... That's actually wonderful, because so we have the whole next week for the entire usage of the supplementary exercise, and those we're going to practice with, and then really, unifying all the information we have heard about lung and large intestine, and really use this whole information and, so to speak, wrap the chi field up for lung and large intestine chi, and really store it deeply inside. So everything we have heard, we will bring into the chi field next week, and we're going to integrate it deeply and store it deeply inside. So if you're bored, you can watch the last including today, number 5. You can watch the 5 classes. Every day one of the lung classes. And then you can watch the sixth part, and where we really integrated through chi work, which is what the best way would have been to use another hour after each class to do the exercises, but I only get 1.5 hours from you. And if I would have known that it takes that long time, I didn't know that so much information is coming out of my head, my heart, and the chi field. So I actually didn't know that I do know so much about organ health. And, obviously there's something going on with the chi field. And so we just, we could have taken the time to do a little bit of implementation every single time. But then again, you have learned all the basic exercises, the supplementary exercises, all the basics. And you have learned all the other methods, and so, I just remembered this moment that there's the camera. I keep looking at the screen today. Sorry. I thought there's the camera, but that's just only the screen. Anyway, you might have looked at me all day today, and I'm slightly off. But okay. So too late now. As we're approaching the end of today's web class, we're gonna just look at the ending a little bit of Sha Yuan. Then we're through all of the methods, and then next week we're gonna look at the supplementary exercises through via practice. So next week we're gonna have our eyes closed through the whole 1.5 hours and do a really nourishing information and Qi web class. I mean, the information is pretty nourishing, I hope, the last few web classes. But I'm not worried. According to the feedback, that seems to be okay. So, the ending of Sha Yuan, we've just done San Chao, and we come back to Hershey Hands. And we start turning. So, obviously, again, large intestine, meridian is being stretched a little bit and everything is being brought back and unified because it was through the vibrations of the sounds and through the, the focus on one. It's all got on one organ. It all got a little bit specialized, and even so, in San Chao we start to move, to move it, but when we do the San Chao aspect, we're actually focusing on a specific form of organ qi, the qi of San Chao, which is in Chinese medicine a 6th organ. So we have 5 yin organs, and the qi of San Chao would actually be the 6th yang organ, because they have the pericard as being another yin organ, the pericard being a 3rd. We'll look at that. We're going to look at that meridian as well. So, because it's one of the major 12 branches. So we have actually not 5 organs, we have 6, which is, I'll take time when we teach about that, when I teach about that. So the ending is all about unifying the quite specialized information and activation of qi, because we're focusing on the liver, on the lungs, on the kidneys. So the ending is now, it's bringing it together, and unification is very good for lungs and large intestine qi because they always are in connection via the 5-element chart. The K cycle, the Shen cycle, the consciousness, and so they need to function together, integrated and melted with each other. And then comes the sound. Tongue, obviously, we think of all the organs, we think and activate them all. So breathing in tongue, breathing out all of the organs, bringing it back, all of the organs. All of that is, of course, beneficial for lung and large intestines. And then we have the circulating the qi, and now you get to understand, how well and how important it is. So it goes, sorry, missing the words. It's just so self-explanatory by now for me. When you can see the internal branch of the lung and the large intestines and how they're all interbranching and how we're mixing it with the universe when we do the 3 circles. Yeah? And then comes the Shen sound. But you can also see now how good the position is for lungs and large intestine. Yeah? And then comes the 5 turns, in which we, of course, unify with the entire qi field. Going smaller, bring it qi back to middle dantian. Yeah? And then down, around, and out. It's all about unification, and I've talked about this when we did when I talked about the Di-Yuan and the nourishing Qi aspect. So it's basically taking care of all the methods now. To be honest, I thought it would take 10-15 minutes today, but obviously not. So here we go. Let's draw Qi back. Draw your vision back. Tongue tip is resting on the upper palate. Lift from Bai Hui. Lift Hui Yin to lower Dantian. Unify with the Qi field. Unify with the information. We have raised a lot of awareness today for lungs and large intestine. And now draw this in to the lungs and large intestines. And then think to the center of your head. All the information is stored deeply in Shen. And then open to the Qi field. Unify with it and draw Qi back to lower Dantian. And then stretch your legs. If you can, take your time. So sitting practice is very beneficial, of course, as well, for large intestine Qi. And whatever is good for large intestine Qi is very good for lung Qi. We can also turn it around. Go ahead and bring your hands to the back. Sitting practice, by the way, because remember, lungs are rub Qi into your kidneys, because the lungs are responsible for the Qi distribution in the whole Qi field, in the whole body. Just sitting cross-legged is highly beneficial for lungs and large intestine. Okay, and then vibrate Qi down. Guide Qi down, vibrate Qi down. Up to lower Dantian. Keep your eyes closed if you like to, and you're in a very nice state. I say thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the Qi field next week again. And just do the head and face when you are finished at the end of nourishing Qi.